My name's Paul Hogue, and a lot of people call me an environmental artist, and I'm inspired by nature. So a lot of my work comes directly from nature or found materials. Well, I was very fortunate to grow up on an island between Canada and Michigan, and it was actually Michigan, but part of the island was closer to Canada than Michigan. And on that island was covered with forest, and with two liberal parents that allowed me the freedom to be creative in that. I began to work with nature, from building full-size tree houses to making art out of branches, made a bow and arrow out of a branch with my father's help, and so yeah, since early childhood, I guess, it's been my connection with nature, and that being my inspiration to continue doing what I do today. I think, like a lot of us, being around people, my older brother he was sculpting, and he inspired me to do art just by looking at his work. And so yeah, I've had some training later on. I took some life drawing stuff, but early on it was just the people around me, the musicians and the artists, that plugged me into doing art, I think. Early on, I think here it is like when you have someone around you that looks at a piece of art that you do and they go, wow, that's good. As a kid, you hear, yeah, that is good. It's like affirming something that you were doing, and then somehow seeing that that would be part of my life, I think. Um, as I continued and people appreciated and wanted a piece of art from me from early childhood, I just kept doing it, and it just kept developing. And then that one day that you sell a piece, and then wow, now you're actually making money, and you can let go of other things that you're doing, maybe that you don't necessarily want to be doing for work, and being able to do art, do something that I love to do, and make an income off that. Wow, that's a great thing, and I really hope others are have that passion for what they do. What I do is I admire nature and the trees and things around me. Um, there seems to be a link between form and shape with everything. It's kind of the idea when you look at a cloud and you see a face or an image. Well, you can use that same technique and look at different things and see beginnings or a little bit of a start of an image, and then I take it a step further by then carving or designing into that. So, once again, that keeping the relationship alive with nature, and to me that's very, I think it's important, because then I'm going to always want my world, or what I do, what we have, to be here, because I'm going to be using it, and that's what nature is. It's constantly giving. Like the plum tree that I'm sitting under right now, I mean, this tree's going to grow better if someone picks it and uses it. Uh, it will be stronger and continue to grow more. But if we don't connect with nature and we remove ourselves from it more and more so, nature tends to not do as well. But so it's always giving, and like my art, like the palms that are constantly shedding palm fronds, you know, these things are amazing to work with, and they're all over the neighborhood. So, you know, I'll go out, see if I can go a very short distance to find something to work on first. But if not, I've got several places. I'm only 6 blocks away from the Pacific Ocean, so that's really one of my main areas to go and see what the tide or, you know, the ocean's brought in on the beach. And you know, once again, if I keep the like, wow, what am I going to find today? That kind of energy, it's amazing what will appear. And sometimes I'll have an idea that what I want to create, and I'll find it, what I'm needing to do that shape. But then there's other times that, you know, I may find something completely different from an idea I had, and I'll just let go of that idea and move on to that one. So, you know, it's a combination, I think, of attraction, you know, thinking what you're wanting to do, and then it comes into your life, and then the ability to be open to a new change, something else coming your way. But either way, it's definitely there, and I don't know, it's just great, you know, being connected to the seasons and the changes of nature, because I just enjoy the planet so much, and this gift of life on Earth. You know, it's like I want to experience fully, and for me, it's not about necessarily what I have, or, you know, as much as knowing that it's beyond words how this planet works and recycles and remakes things and so on. And I hope I can share a little bit about that with my compost pile and so on. But here in the city is we're mimicking what the forest does naturally by allowing the leaves and things to fall on the ground and decompose instead of raking them up and taking them away. We're adding stuff and creating brand new soil out of all that, which has everything in it to grow healthy plants and food, so you don't have to use chemical fertilizers and things like that. And this has been a part of my life, all my life. My parents had a vegetable garden, but I've continued to do it, and at one point had a business. I grew herbs and vegetables and sold them to the Queen Mary and Cafe Piccolo and all these local restaurants. Basil I grew, all different types of specialty vegetables and so on, right up in Signal Hill. And during that period I was doing my art, and but once again, this is kind of my place. I am a farmer at heart, and it is a place I think everyone feels peace, because it's so connected to us. When you have living soil, you have living things, you have a living person, you have a body that's healthy, and yeah, so the more life, the better. Each day's a new one, and yet it feels good to go in to businesses and stuff and see work that I've created. But I'm always aware of one thing. First of all, I'm inspired by the people, and you know, the event or the place that it's at. it's an honor to be able to, for so many people to appreciate my work and want it. It is a good feeling though, and you know, I know something that it is possible once again to be resourceful in an area that we live in, because if I can do it, then the others can do it. In other countries, people that feel like maybe they don't have work and whatnot, I hope that I can inspire them a little bit. People that feel like there's nothing for them to do, I believe that, you know, there's plenty for people to be creative with. And I hope my work throughout the city inspires people to be creative and look at it from a different angle, and then come up with some of their own. You know, here's a kind of an interesting piece of an elephant image, and he's blowing his own horn. Kind of a jazzy but yet gruesome looking piece. And using that adhesive technique over top pieces of driftwood and found man-made materials to create this image. You know, once again, a lot of my work, you're going to see instruments and music around it, because I really believe that the music is what stimulates and gets us going. It's like if you go to an old barn or something that's been weathered, wood that's been weathered and eroded a little bit, the grains and things are more distinctive and so on. And maybe the termites, for instance, aren't they amazing sculptors and, you know, cause things to break down and change? But I find that a very attractive part of nature in the process. So when I create, a lot of times I'm thinking about that kind of partial erosion place. Now, I use different materials to give that effect. Early on in some of my first large pieces, I used tree sap as my glue. Now, tree sap has been used for hundreds of years to put wind instruments, different things together, but I didn't realize that. I kind of stumbled onto it when I was doing a landscaping job, and I kept thinking, wow, tree sap is this amazing glue. And, you know, it can really be a problem when it drips on people's cars and so on like that. I'm thinking, wow, I wonder if I heated that up in some water in a little soup pan and then turned it back into a liquid type adhesive. And so I tried it, and sure enough, I ended up with this amazing stuff. And then by using at the time when I was doing these first pieces, I was spinning the stick and then applying it over a surface, and it being warm in that gave me time to adjust and smooth it out in that and create interesting effects that happen with time and so on. But as time went on and people wanted more and more of my things, I decided that I could use other things to mimic the same idea. So I've used things like hot glue to do the same thing, and it's quicker and I can get it, and that's, you know, that's nice to be able to go out and get materials like that, because tree sap was a process to get. You can't always get it. It's got to come from old trees and so on. So yeah, glue, hot glue, other materials. I've even warmed and taken glue off of boxes and things and reused that adhesive on there. So yeah, that's part of the process. But yeah, and then also it strengthens everything so it will last for a very long time. The tree sap's amazing. I know I'll do some huge piece eventually with nothing but tree sap again, but the fact that tree sap through time, becomes like amber, it just keeps getting harder and harder and harder and gets to a point where it's just stone. Recently, they gave me an honor as Distinguished Artist of the Year of Long Beach, and wow, amazed, very grateful for that. And thanks to Jennifer nominating me and the support from her and the inspiration. I'm going to do this show at the Collaborative and with the former Distinguished Artist of the Year, but I'm going to design some pieces for this show that kind of show what I do. They're partially in the making, but then I'm also going to have some things that I've done hundreds and hundreds of, like some of the poem material, because once again, it's like, it's nice to get recognized and continue doing what we do, but, so people will look at nature and inspire them to look at it again and keep that in mind as technology and as we advance, which I believe is a great thing, but, being aware of, the natural materials and so on. So yeah, this space I'll be showing, I'll be doing things out of nature and messages of our connection with the natural world. And I believe the title of the show is What Was Lost Is Now Found. I believe that's the name of it, what it's going to be. And for me to wander out and find something and then to make something out of it, I think it goes right with that idea, and especially from the ocean and so on. So yeah, I'm going to gather natural things, but man-made stuff that washes in on the beach that can be shown what to turn into, give people some other ideas on what that stuff could be used for. Well, I guess I'll let it out. I'm designing a very large bird image that I've talked with the other artists and asked them to kind of share the process with the wings of it. The bird's going to have about a 12-foot wingspan, and in the feathers will be messages in images of the city and of their ideas in the wings, kind of the birds of a feather, they flock together kind of thing. I would like very much for what comes out of that is a reflection that impacts people to realize how connected they are with nature, and the bird being this overseer, which will probably be a hawk, I'm thinking, or something that can fly high and look over a city. And and then I'm going to have some mirrors and things like that, so you actually look up into the wings and see your face and see you, and then the talons coming down on everyone. So but once again, everything needs to eat, and that's the earth for you. It's that cycle, and so I'm really hoping that's all going to work out, and we're all going to get in there and work together on those wings. But I'll do the layout, and then we'll add what what's going to go in those wings. So I'm excited to work with these two other artists. They're amazing. I love both of their